In this video here, I'm gonna talk about the absolute worst thing you can do to yourself. Again, like, I love it when you guys are kind of guessing at what this might be. This is something that I think is basically a part of almost every single human at times. And this is something that I've struggled with in the past, and something that I'm even like in the midst of still overcoming myself. So what is this thing? What am I talking about? Again, stay past when I tell you what it is, because you're gonna want to know why it's so bad. Okay? So the worst thing you can do for yourself is to be way too hard on yourself. Being too hard on yourself. Let me explain exactly why that is. Okay? When you're too hard on yourself, let me give you a few examples of when or how you get too hard on yourself, okay? Let's say, for example, I'll use poker for example, because I play poker. I know a lot of the people that watch my channel are poker players. So being too hard on yourself, where you're just like, damn it, I was supposed to grind, like, you think to yourself, like, I was supposed to grind 6 hours today, like, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I do it? Or damn it, I was gonna study for 2 hours, like, why can't I sit here and just study? Like, what is wrong with me, right? Those are two really quick examples of being too hard on yourself. There's many, many more examples of this, being way too hard on yourself. Let me use an example that's not poker. Let's say you're talking to a girl. Let's say you met a girl on the street, and you might have said something to her that was, that you might have thought was stupid at the time, and then she was just like, yeah, like, I have to go. And then she just leaves, okay? Let's say it's a bar, you met a girl at a bar, and like maybe through a friend, or you just met the girl, it doesn't matter, and you're just like, you said something, and then she leaves, and you're just like, God, I shouldn't have said that. Like, you're thinking in your mind, like, why don't I think of the right things to say? Or like, this is another example of being too hard on yourself. Now, this is cancerous, okay? And I'm gonna explain to you why. When you're too hard on yourself, you start beating yourself up. You do the opposite of loving yourself, okay? You do the opposite of loving yourself. You start beating yourself up, and then you create and cultivate anxiety, stress, and in some cases even depression. Like when you're too hard on yourself, and you're always thinking like, I should have done this, I should have done that, like, why can't I take control of this aspect of my life? Why can't I take control of that aspect of my life? I want you to realize one thing. And the one thing is to always keep in the forefront of your mind, it's always okay. Okay, I want you to grasp that. It's always, always, always okay. And the way to learn better is not by being hard on yourself. It's by realizing that it's always okay. Let me explain why. Because when you realize that it's always okay, you're not putting unnecessary pressure on yourself. You're not putting this crazy, this like expectation and all this pressure on yourself. Because once you put all that pressure on yourself, that pressure in itself is creating anxiety and stress. And then now you're anxious and stressed about like why you're anxious and stressed. Okay, so it spirals out of control. And it gets to a point where you might not even feel like you can control it anymore. You're like, I can't even handle this. This is crazy. So I want you to realize that it's always, always, always okay. Never be too hard on yourself, even if you made a mistake. Let's say you make a mistake at the poker tables. I'll give you an example. I was playing a $1,000 heads-up hyper. This was about a month ago, okay? And for those of you who understand poker, you'll understand what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't play poker, that's fine too, because you can kind of relate to this, okay? I made a mistake to lose $1,000 for the people that are not playing poker. And for the people that are playing poker, what happened was I made a river check raise for all my chips, first hand of the game, okay? For all my chips, I made a river check raise, huge check raise. I thought I had a straight, but I only had fourth pair. And the guy immediately called, and he had two pair. And I thought the chips were gonna come my way. I was like, the chips are coming here, but the chips go to his side. I'm like, what just happened? Like, I just made this huge mistake for $1,000. Like, I just pissed it away, okay? And my initial reaction was like, God. But then immediately I thought to myself, you know what? Being too hard on myself is never gonna solve anything. It's only gonna put more pressure on myself. It's only gonna create more anxiety and more stress. It's never gonna actually solve anything at all. So I said to myself, I'm gonna let this go, okay? I trust myself. I trust myself. Listen to those words, because they're so important. Trusting yourself is probably the most important fucking thing you can ever do. I trust myself that I won't do it again, and I don't feel the need to be hard on myself to teach myself a lesson. Okay? Let that soak in for a second. You need to cultivate more trust in yourself and realize that you can change without being hard on yourself. Realize that it's always okay. And then I want to share one last quote before I wrap up this video that ties in with this entire thing. It's so beautiful. And it's so true. So the quote is, it's never as bad as it seems, and it's never as good as it seems. Let that quote sink in for a second. It's never as bad as it seems, and it's never as good as it seems. And in the short term, we always go on these kind of roller coasters. We go up and down, up and down, up and down. And sometimes it seems worse, and sometimes it seems better than it actually is. It's just your short-term perception going one way or the other. Like, something might happen, and then you see things way worse than they actually are. Okay? And then something else might happen, and you see things way better than they actually are in reality. It's usually somewhere right in the middle. Most of us, we go this way and this way way too much. We go all the way this way, like, oh, everything's fucking amazing. Oh, wait, no, it's actually over here. You're just perceiving it that it's absolutely amazing on this side. And you're like, oh my God, my life is shit. Everything's fucked up. And it's really not that bad. Your life is usually right here, but you're just perceiving it in this negative light for something that might have just happened, and like you're just seeing things way worse than they actually are. So the main things I want you to remember from this video: catch yourself when you're being too hard on yourself. Forgive yourself. Trust yourself. And realize that it is always, always okay. And I want you to remember that each and every single day for the rest of your life, that it is always okay. We are always, people are just way too hard on themselves. Trust me, like, give yourself a break. Love yourself. Trust yourself. And let me know in the comments section if anybody is having any challenges doing this, or if there's any specific hurdles that you guys can't seem to get over. Let me know about some times in your life or some examples in your life where you were way too hard on yourself, and now you're kind of realizing it. After watching this video, you're like, Jack, there was this time where I was just way too hard on myself, and I totally get it. I shouldn't have been that hard on myself. I should have trusted myself. Because some of us think that in order to change in the future, that we have to be so hard on ourselves. We don't have to be. We just have to be trusting with ourselves and accepting that everything is okay, and we are humans, and we are going to make some mistakes sometimes, and that even through those mistakes, we're going to accept those mistakes, and the mistakes are totally, totally okay.